Welcome to everyone who's joining us for Parenting Big Emotions. We are going to get started in just 1 minute. Thank you again for joining us for today's webinar. If you are new to Bright Spot Network, welcome. We are a community of parents who have been diagnosed with cancer while being pregnant or having young children. And we provide a community of support of other parents that get it. And we provide tools and resources to help you parent through a cancer diagnosis. We have a variety of different programs and resources, including free books to help talk to kids about cancer and deal with big feelings like we're talking about today, or talk about grief and loss. We have our Bright Box, which is a point of connection for parent and child, our financial grant, a variety of different virtual support groups, including those for parents in active treatment, those in post-treatment, parents with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis, for partners, for bereaved partners, couples, parents of color. Please check out our website for more details and how to get signed up for those groups if you're interested. We also have monthly groups for kids that are sort of activity groups to help them build community and learn coping skills. We have webinars like today and other workshops, family navigation, and a wealth of web resources. So I invite you all to go check out our website and find all of the free downloadable resources that can help you to parent through a cancer diagnosis. For today's webinar, we're going to hold all questions until the very end, though I encourage you to type in questions as soon as you have them so that you don't forget it. You can check the box that says send anonymously if you don't want your name to be shared. We are going to be sending a survey about today's webinar, and we really do appreciate your feedback. So if you wouldn't mind taking, I think it's like a 2-minute survey, let us know what you thought and share other ideas you have of topics you'd like to see in future webinars. We are recording today's webinar. A link will be sent to everyone who registered, so that way if you do have to step away or you want to share this with someone, you will have the link. Now I want to introduce today's speaker. Very excited to have Allie Finkel with us. Allie is a mom, therapist, educator, speaker, and creator. She is the co-founder of Kind Minds, a space for the hard stuff, providing education, support, and community for individuals and their families during challenging times. She holds a BA in psychology and child development from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, a K-6 teaching certificate from the Relay Graduate School of Education, a master's in social work from Columbia University, and a postmaster certification in child and family therapy from NYU. Allie also has her certification in Dr. Becky Kennedy's Good Inside Parent Coaching Program. Prior to opening her private practice, Allie worked for many years as a pediatric oncology social worker and is especially passionate about helping families navigate the cancer journey. Allie serves as a medical content contributor and advisor to Rune, an online platform that offers trusted and expert-created content to help navigate serious health conditions. She has been quoted as a mental health and parenting expert across numerous media outlets, such as the New York Times, Healthline, Today, and the Huffington Post. So excited to have you with us, Allie. I will let you come on and share your slides.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you and so grateful and honored. I'm going to share my slides in just a minute, but before I do that, I just want to acknowledge that you're showing up here today in the face of everything else that is going on in your life. And you didn't choose to have to be brave, and you didn't choose to have to be strong, and yet here you are. And so I hope that we can just take a minute before we dive into everything that we're going to talk about today to acknowledge that and you, and to feel proud, even though maybe this isn't something that you wish you had to be proud about. gonna share. Give me 1 second. Okay. So today we're going to cover a lot. I'm going to try and pack as much as I possibly can, and give you as many tools as I possibly can. So we're going to start with a little welcome and introduction. I hope to learn a little bit about you through the chat. We're going to move into some grounding and regulation. We'll talk about curiosity as a tool in and of itself, how to make space for feelings, strategies for challenging behaviors. We'll talk a little bit about you as the parent, and figuring out where you fit into all of this. I'll go over some of the resources that my practice offers, and then we will open it up for you to ask any questions about what's been going on with your family personally, see if I can troubleshoot with you, whatever it is that you think would be helpful. A little bit about me. I mean, Chris introduced me. I won't get too far into this. I spent many years working at New York Presbyterian, Weill Cornell in New York City. I served as a member of the psychosocial oncology committee, where I advised oncology social workers across the entire hospital on how to support kids and how to support parents who are going through cancer treatment. And of course, I had my main role as the pediatric oncology and young adult lymphoma social worker, where I saw kids and their families and supported them through diagnosis, through survivorship or end of life. And I also developed a survivorship program. Okay, so before we get into any strategies, it's important that we talk about you, the parent. So it's sort of inconvenient, but we cannot talk about parenting without talking about the parent. And so much of parenting has to do with our own ability to show up and our own window of tolerance. Some of you might be familiar with this concept, but if you are not, I'll go into it briefly. So your window of tolerance is really when you're feeling calm, grounded, flexible, curious, present, when you notice that your nervous system is in a state of regulation, and where you can kind of tolerate things out that are stressful. Your window of tolerance grows and shrinks as different things happen in your life. Cancer, in particular, makes your window of tolerance smaller. So, what we're going to do before we start anything is I want you to check in with yourself, and I want you to just see, how big is your window of tolerance today? It might be different today than it was yesterday. It might be different today than it will be next week. Where are you right now? Is your window of tolerance larger or smaller? Are you in a state of hyperarousal or hypoarousal? Just try and see, where am I? Am I feeling really on edge? Am I feeling like I've got to go, 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 go? Or am I feeling more withdrawn, shut down? Being able to figure out how big your window is means that you can figure out, okay, how much of me do I even have to give today? How much support do I need to rely on? When your window is small, that's when you call in more support as is available to you. When your window is larger, maybe that's when you can, take on more. But no matter what, and what we're going to talk about here today is figuring out where you are on this spectrum is going to help you determine, what can I let go of? Where can I say, you know what? This can't be a priority right now. Okay, So obviously, you've probably been told many times, oh, just take a deep breath. I'm not going to tell you to take a deep breath, but I am going to teach you how to take a deep breath, because taking a deep breath is actually something that will really, really help you offer yourself brief moments of regulation, brief moments of resetting, brief moments of growing that window of tolerance, or of tolerating what's going on right in front of you. Maybe it's a really, really hard day, or hard week, or hard month, and nothing in the external world is changing, obviously. And so, how can we attend to your internal experience? So, I'm going to lead you through a very brief breathing exercise, a standard body scan so we can find the tension in your body, and a way for us to try and release some of that tension intentionally. I'm going to describe for you a metaphor, and I want you to imagine that parenting is like carrying a backpack. Each of us come to parenting with backpacks that have different stuff in them. And some of us come to parenting with an already heavy backpack. And then there comes cancer. And cancer is like adding 1,000 heavy bricks into your backpack all at once. And your backpack didn't start out empty, it already had stuff in it. And so, how can we find ways to help you not take the bricks out of the backpack because the bricks are there? But how can we find ways to take maybe some of the other stuff out of the backpack temporarily, just for a short period of time? How can we help you figure out a way to put the backpack down for a minute or two and attend to you? And one of the ways to do that is by regulating your nervous system. And so I'm going to hop into that. And then later in the presentation, we'll talk about other ways to help widen that window of tolerance when it's feeling especially small. So if you feel comfortable, close your eyes, get into a seated position. I like to place one hand on my heart, one hand on my belly. The thing about breathing is that you, as you're physically able, want to take a deep breath through your nose, and you want to have the exhale out through your mouth. And I like to teach adults how to breathe the way I teach children how to breathe, because it's much more tangible and easy to follow than just saying breathe in for a few counts and breathe out for a few counts. So on the inhale, you're going to imagine that your belly is filling with air like a balloon is filling up. And you want that hand there so that you can actually feel this happening. Then we're going to hold, and on the exhale, and this is going to be slower than feels comfortable. And it might feel like, how am I supposed to have enough air in my body to spend 8 seconds exhaling? And if 8 feels like too much, you can start with 4, but I promise that you don't need more breath to exhale for 8 counts. You just need to learn how to pace your breathing. And when you exhale through your mouth, you're going to want to pretend that you're blowing out birthday candles, or that you're blowing on a hot cup of coffee, gently, slowly, intentionally, so that it doesn't spill. So I'm going to do a few, and I'm going to count with you, and I invite you to join me. We're going to go in through the mouth, feeling that belly fill with air. Then we're going to hold, and on the exhale, you're going to feel all of that air leave your body, and you're going to actually feel your stomach descend. So in through the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. And now we're going to go out through the mouth like you're blowing out candles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to do this 2 more times. If it feels uncomfortable for you, if it feels like, I want to jump out of my own skin, I don't want to do this, I don't like this, I'm having intrusive thoughts, just pay attention to that. All of that is okay. Gently guide yourself back to the breath. So another deep breath in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel that heart rate slowing down. And now on the way out, breathe out the stress, breathe out the tension, and release. And then we're going to do one more before we start the body scan. In through the mouth, in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to go out through the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I want you to start at your toes, and we're just going to work our way up the body, and we're going to try and find where we're holding the tension. So wiggle your toes and just notice. Go up the leg. Are your legs heavy? Do they feel tight? What's going on in your body? Up into the hips. We hold a lot of tension in our hips and in our lower backs. Into the belly. Up into the chest. Feel that heart rate. Up to the shoulders. So much tension gets trapped in the shoulders. Are your shoulders relaxed and down? Are they up? How's your neck? Roll it out. The jaw, the face. Wherever you have found tension, I want you to actually squeeze that part of your body as tight as you possibly can, and then release. And we'll do that 3 more times. Tighten and release. Noticing the difference between tense and relaxed. And then 1 more time, tense and release. And this will be something that you can come back to at any time, anywhere, whenever you need it. Okay, so the primary tool we're going to talk about to begin, and this is something when I coach parents, no matter what's going on in the family life, is whenever there is something challenging going on at home, I always, always, always say, we have to zoom out. Can you temporarily give yourself permission to release the pressure to fix, to change it, or to make it better? And can we get curious? Can we zoom out and say, what is really going on here? Little kids, more often than not, express big feelings through behavior, whether that's not listening, clinginess, potty regressions, if we're talking about young kids, school avoidance, hitting, not wanting to go to sleep at night, whining, more separation anxiety than usual, yelling, you name it, right? Those are their way of communicating something doesn't feel right inside of me. And so our job is to figure out what are they telling us? Because if we can figure out what they're telling us, then actually we're responding to what's really going on versus trying to implement a strategy to make behavior go away. Behavior is not going to go away if a child's internal world is full of chaos. So some questions that you can think about asking: when are things most challenging? Think transitions. And what I mean by that is the morning before going to school, or switching caregivers, or at nighttime before bed, meals. These are high stress points of the day. And so get really curious and try and notice when is the feeling really, really coming up. Are there specific places where emotions run higher, such as drop off, if you're dropping your kid off from school or getting them on the bus, with certain people, babysitters? How about caregivers that come when you're at treatment? Who is your child most likely to have a hard time with, and in what setting? What are your child's signs that things are escalating, right? I bet if you zoomed out and took a good look at what was going on, you would probably notice tiny subtleties that no one else would about the fact that your kid is about to lose it. So all of this is really important information. And then finally, are there additional changes that have happened in the treatment plan, right? We talk a lot about giving kids age-appropriate information to help them cope with the cancer experience. But that has to happen repeatedly throughout the cancer journey as things change. So, have there been recent physical changes in a parent, hair loss, fatigue, a change in physical mobility? Are there logistical changes that have occurred? More hospital visits, or has the schedule changed? Are there more doctor's appointments recently? Have there been a change to the child's routine? Children are naturally egocentric. That's how they're supposed to be. They are probably thinking about, how is this impacting me? And so we have to think about that. And then emotional changes. Have there been emotional changes in someone in the family? Irritability, sadness, anxiety. My guess is yes, because we're all only human. But these are just some of the questions that we can ask to help us get curious. But the key here is to lift the pressure to fix, lift the pressure to make your kid feel better. And instead, we're going to shift to getting curious about what's going on. And then we're going to talk not about making them feel better or changing their feelings. Instead, we're going to talk about supporting them through them. Okay, so now we have to make space for feelings. So a cancer diagnosis is inherently filled with loss, loss of identity, loss of financial stability, loss of future plans, loss of emotional stability. The list goes on, as you know intimately well. And whenever we have loss of any type, there is grief. And grief brings up a whole slew of emotion for us and for our kids. So you are familiar with the emotions. So we need to make space for the feelings. And we do that through validation, through naming, and through allowing the feelings to be there without trying to convince our kids not to have them. It is so tempting to want to tell a child, like, it's okay, don't worry. Oh, why don't we find ways to be happy? And I'm going to talk about joy in a second. But we have to let the hard feelings be there. And so some of the ways to do that I've listed here. These are just examples of words, right? You are the expert in your kid. You are the expert in you. These don't have to be the exact words. They're just sentiments. So we want to communicate to a child that they're right for noticing that things feel different, right? We're validating the experience they're already having. You can tell them that their feelings are safe with you, all of them, even the scary ones. You can remind them that it's always okay to talk about things, even when they feel hard. A simple way to validate always is to tell a child that you believe them, even if you don't agree with them. Finally, joy is a feeling. It's a feeling that sometimes gets lost when you're in the thick of it because it's hard. And that's exactly why we have to intentionally invite joy in. There has to be space for joy. Not big joy, although maybe sometimes little joy. So one of my favorite ways to invite joy in is by making a joy jar. And this is something you can do as a family. You get a jar or a box or whatever is available to you, and everyone in the family comes up with small ideas for what makes you smile. And you put those ideas into the jar. And when things are feeling especially hard and you feel like you need joy or they need joy or somebody needs a smile, you go to the jar, pick out the small thing to do, and you do it together as a family. And then I want you to notice and celebrate when joy exists, because you deserve to feel that too. And so do your kids. Okay, so I'm sure you're all here because, well, what do we do about the behaviors? So we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about what to do in intense moments when your child is highly dysregulated. We're going to talk about what do you do outside of the moment to actually build skills. And we're going to talk about how do we look at the systems in your life to figure out, are there ways that we can help prevent some of the meltdowns from occurring? So in the moment, your job is never, ever, ever to stop the feelings or the meltdown, even though some of these noises that these kids make, you're like, just stop it already. I get it. So, yes, you want to stop the meltdown, but your job actually isn't to stop the meltdown, and it's never to stop the feeling. All feelings can get a yes, but all behaviors cannot. So, obviously, when your window of tolerance is small, the behaviors that are most likely to need limitation are um, safety related: hitting, shoving, kicking, a child hurting themselves or somebody else, right? And that boundary setting does not have to mean that the feeling can't be there. Less is always more in moments of intense dysregulation. So calm presence, no convincing, right? You're not trying to justify your decision. You're not trying to convince your child to feel differently. You're not trying to convince them why you're right. You're just trying to be there. And that is going to require you to be regulated, which is why we did that exercise a few minutes ago. Gentle words like, I'm here, it's okay, you're safe, right? And and then encouraging safe expression of the emotion if it's possible. So if there's hitting, hit a pillow, punch a pillow, scream into a pillow, stomp feet. If outside is an option, go outside. Um, get some, fresh air on the child's face. You want to contain a highly dysregulated child, move into a smaller space. But again, in the moment, the job is simply to be there. That's it. No teaching, no skill building happens in moments of intense dysregulation. Okay, out of the moment, this is where all of the skill building happens. So after an intense moment, you want to tell the story of what happened. So what that looks like is really reflecting back to your child. Okay, I came home from the doctor and you really wanted to play with me and I was feeling tired and I told you I was going to lay down. And then you got really, really upset. And then you threw the toy across the room and it hit the wall. And then you made your baby brother cry. And I actually wouldn't use that language of making the baby cry, but you get my point. And then everybody felt bad, and then it was really, really hard to calm down. Is that right? So we want to build coherence for kids around really, really tough moments. And if you lost your cool, this is a perfect opportunity also to repair and to apologize. Um, it's also really important to note that many of these moments beg the question, does my kid need more information about what's going on? Do they need to understand more about my treatment, about me? Are there questions they need to ask? We want to help them consider what has changed and what still stays the same. So you can do this in a simple T chart. For young kids, you can just talk it through with them and write for them. For older kids, they can write themselves or draw pictures. And you want to think about, okay, there's been so many changes recently, right? And that hasn't felt good. So let's think about everything that's changed. And then let's think about everything that no matter what will stay the same. And that's when you want to ground your child in all of the ways that things have stayed the same for them. Has their room stayed the same? Has their school stayed the same? Has their activities stayed the same? Your love never ever changes, right? That's always on the same list. Practicing through play. So this is where all of the skill building is going to happen, especially for young kids. This is where coping skills are going to play out. This is where you're going to see themes. Many kids are going to start playing out hospital scenes, doctors, nurses, other professionals, sick patient, mommy, daddy, other caregivers, grandparents, and you're going to use this as an opportunity to maybe play out through the characters, trucks, dolls, whatever your child likes to play with, the moments of struggle that have happened in the child's life. And then you're going to pull out of play and ask the child, what can you do? What do you think she could do the next time she feels that way? Right. And this is how a child is going to start building skills for the next time. Using books to build coherence. So I'll talk about the social stories that we have available that help with this. I also have other resources. Kelsey, another therapist and child life specialist, has this amazing book, The Dot Method, that helps build kids build coherence around the cancer experience. But books are your friend. Books are a way to connect with kids that is less threatening. It is not sitting face to face, having a really intense conversation that evokes vulnerability in the child. Books are a way in. Books foster dialogue. Even if your kid isn't saying anything, they're processing. And then we want to help kids figure out what's in their control, what's out of their control. There is so much that happens when a parent is diagnosed with cancer that strips the child of all of their control. And kids don't have a lot of control as it is. And what do kids want more than anything? Control over everything. So helping them figure out what's in their control and what's out of their control and differentiating between those two and referring back to that is going to help a child feel like they have some sense of autonomy over something. And we'll talk about choice in a second and how to do that. And then special time. Special time, no matter what you're going through, if your child is having a hard time, implementing special time is your friend. So special time is different than actually just spending special time with your child. Special time is highly focused time. You're going to actually name it. It's 10 minutes at most. And this is time that's set aside and that is as predictable as possible, given circumstances. The more often you can do it, the better, but be realistic about it. So you name the special time. The special time is entirely child-led. There are no phones, there are no distractions. You aren't asking your kid questions. You aren't teaching. You're doing none of that. Your child is choosing the activity and your child is leading the way. Your only job here is to be a participant in your child's world, to observe the magic of who they are, and to build connection. And this connection helps feelings like sadness, disappointment, loneliness so much. Okay, let's move on to systems. So we need to look at the systems in a child's life, and systems are always disrupted despite our best efforts when there's a cancer diagnosis, because they have to be in order to fit the cancer treatment and the limitations and the changes that cancer brings into the new life. So of course, we want to focus on preserving routine. So wherever we can help preserve a child's former routine, we're going to want to do that. If we can't, or there are areas that the routine has to change, then how can we make a new routine? We want to prioritize predictability, stability, and familiarity as much as possible. These are things that help balance the uncertainty and the turmoil that cancer brings. Visual schedules. So, parent who is in treatment, we want to look at can we make a visual schedule that helps a child understand when the parent is at treatment? When is the parent needing to rest because of the side effects of treatment? When is the caregiver coming to help because the parent is at treatment? Who is doing pickup that day? Who will be home when the child gets off the bus? All of these things visually available to the child will help them be able to say, okay, I know what to expect. Being able to know what to expect when so much is a bunch of question marks is a really powerful antidote. Infusing choice. Small choices, wherever possible, help to give some of that control back to the child. Choices for breakfast, choices for what to wear, choices for books at night. Sometimes it means a choice of, do you want to take a shower today? Right? Letting go of the small stuff. And then I want you to think about your non-negotiables. So maybe that's brushing teeth. Maybe that's saying hurtful words to a sibling. Maybe that's shoving or pushing or hitting, right? All of us have different non-negotiables, but knowing what those non-negotiables are will help you figure out, okay, where are the boundaries that I have to set in any given moment? And can I let the rest of it go? Especially on the days where the window is small. Other considerations when it comes to a child's big emotions playing out through behavior. Your awareness of your child's triggers can allow you to intervene and assist before things escalate, right? So before we talked about what are the signs your kid is giving you that they're about to lose it. You knowing that means that you or somebody else can step in and offer the child help before the child gets out of control. And that sends the kid a message of, I'm actually not going to let you go to this place where everything feels completely chaotic because I understand you. Now, we're not always going to be able to do this because kids are kids and kids melt down, and that's fine. But sometimes we can actually help a kid, right? By seeing, oh, we're headed down this bad road. Like, is there something that I can do right now to fill my kid up or to give them extra or to step in and say, you know what? I actually don't think that my kid is capable of listening to my directions right now. So maybe I'm going to need to scaffold a little bit instead of asking 3 times and then letting them get to the meltdown. Anticipated changes. So if you know that your treatment is changing, or you know that the next round of chemo is going to be especially taxing, we're going to want to communicate those changes ahead of time. Not 3 weeks ahead of time. A child's sense of time is completely different than ours, but a day or two. You want to talk about how the change is going to be and how the change is going to affect them and their routine. And then we want to prepare not only for logistics, but also for feelings. So this might make you feel really upset. It's okay to feel that way. I wonder what we can do if when I have to, take a break, what can you do with that disappointed feeling, right? Practice ahead of time. This is emotional preparation, I would argue, is even more important than logistical preparation, but the two of them together are going to set your kid up to be able to cope better than without any preparation. Okay. When it comes to cooperation, which when you're tired, you want your kid to cooperate even more than when you're not tired, and you're likely to have a shorter fuse and less patience and make a child feel more rushed, which is going to make them want to cooperate less. So 60 seconds of connection before expecting cooperation. So think about joining a child's world if they're in the middle of playing something, or they're in the middle of eating something, or they want to do something themselves. Can you get on their level physically and connect with them? Take the pressure off for 1 single minute and then try to move them along. And then finally, we want to translate as best we can our child's hurtful words or actions into what they're feeling. So I listed a couple of examples here, but there are endless examples. And this is something that you can feel free to put in the chat of, like, this is something my kid did or said. What do you think they actually mean? I'm happy to help you translate. And then we're going to actually help them. So if a kid says, that's not fair, you're so mean, why can't I do that? You always say no, things like that. Then they're probably saying, like, I wish that I could have, that cookie, right? I wish I could have that cookie for breakfast. And you can say that, right? So instead of responding to, you're so mean, we're going to say instead, I know you wish you could have that cookie. Okay. I think I could get through a description of each of these. Um, there are an unlimited amount of play and art-based exercises to help kids express emotions. And kids are going to be far more likely to express themselves through play and through art than they are with kind of sitting down and having a face-to-face conversation with us. So I'll just go through these one by one, but I will also provide these slides if anyone wants via Carissa. But I can certainly provide a PDF with detailed descriptions on how to do each of these. So you can just let me know if you're interested in that, and I'm happy to send that out as well. So something that my practice actually does is we make social stories. They're really geared for kids 2-ish to about 7. That range is kind of fluid based on your child's own developmental level. But a social story is a really basic language telling a child exactly in child-friendly language what is going on. So it explains, this one in particular explains what cancer is, the physical effects of cancer, changes the child might notice, feelings the child might have, what coping skills a child can use. And all of the social stories come with parent guides that have sample scripts for common questions that kids ask, as well as helpful tips. There are a ton of other books and resources out there, like I mentioned, but social stories, especially for young kids, really help give language and make sense of scary experiences. Um, Okay, a safe place box. So this is when it's a similar concept to a calm corner, but on a smaller scale. So the child gets to pick objects that help them feel safe, and they put them in the box. They can decorate the box. Anything that you can ask a child to decorate is going to be a win. So putting the safe objects in the box, and then we can prompt the child when they're having a really hard time to go to the box and to use one of the safe objects to feel that sense of safety. Um, Inside out drawing. This one is better for school age kids and older. You're going to prompt a child to draw one picture of how they look and feel on the outside, how they present themselves to the world, and the other is how they look and feel on the inside. And our kids are so brave and they go out into the world, and we expect so much of them to continue going to school and continue doing everything that they do while all of this is going on in their lives. And this gives space for a child to reveal maybe how the inside and the outside differ. What's in my heart? It sounds exactly like what it is. You can do this, any medium of art works. And what you're really going to do is help a child express what's going on inside. And this is really great for young kids and for emotion expression. Emotion Potion is one of my favorites for little kids. It's not only a way to express emotion, it's also a way to cope with emotion. You can use food coloring and other sensory items, and you basically make some sensory bottles, things that are great in sensory bottles, beads, glitter. If you're not into glitter, which I get, sequins, anything where if you shake it, the it settles down to the bottom and is gonna work in this situation. And a child can assign a different color to each emotion. Again, this is an opportunity to give the child choice. It doesn't have to be the color that you assign to the emotion. Let them say, okay, happy is going to be red, right? And then let a child fill up the bottle with each color of what they feel. And what I love about this one is that it shows a child that different feelings can exist at the same time, and that sometimes it's really messy when they all mix together. A feelings release. So you can either do this with balloons or a lantern. If you want to be environmentally conscious, I love dissolving rice paper for this. So you draw or write the feelings that you have that are feeling really heavy on you. And then you can drop each of them in a bowl of water and watch them dissolve. And it shows us that feelings are temporary, that we can give ourselves permission to feel the feelings, and we can also give ourselves permission to release the feelings. Um, I'm actually going to stop here because I want to have the opportunity to get to our questions. But again, I'm happy to send all of these activities out.
Thank you, Allie.
Yeah. Um, I'll go through this slide and then we'll go to questions.
Perfect.
So just lastly, you have to matter too in this equation. Your needs have to have space. Your physical needs and your basic needs are going to take priority over everything, always. They have to. You can't attend to any of this other stuff if the physical needs aren't met. So sometimes that's going back to the basics, what's going on with nutrition, with sleep, with everything, and having a conversation with your providers. But these are just some examples of categories of how to make space for your needs in a way that is individual to you and that might be able to fit into your life the way it is now. So with creating calm, honoring your energy, connecting with others, and then connecting with yourself. These are just ideas, but sometimes it's helpful to say, okay, how do I feel? What's going on right now? Which bucket do I need to fill the most right now? And how can I do that? I'll go through this at the end. Let's do questions now.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ellie. Yes, get a little water. You've shared a lot, so I really thank you for everything that you presented here. I do have one question here. A parent saying that they have been struggling with patience, which I think we can all relate to, and they have a 5-year-old and a 14-year-old. So any insight or guidance you can provide about patience?
So patience and lack thereof is a sign in us that the window is small. And so when the window is small, we have to let go of the small stuff. So are there things that you can let go of? Are there things that you can give yourself permission temporarily to say, this doesn't have to matter right now? Are there ways that you can increase connection and offer ways to experience joy with your kids? And then are there ways that you can regulate yourself? Small moments, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, right? 1 minute in the middle of the day. Can you do a self check-in and say, where is my nervous system right now? Is my heart beating out of my chest? Do a self check-in and then let that dictate how you move forward.
Wonderful. Thank you. Another question I have is how to get a child to brush their teeth after being asked the first time, like a child that's around 7. So if there's a certain request or behavior and children are having a hard time complying, what is your suggestion there?
Can you repeat it?
You bet. The specific question
Yeah.
is how to help your child brush their teeth after they've been asked the first time.
So this is an example of boundary setting. So the first thing that you're going to want to decide is toothbrushing non-negotiable? And there is no judgment here if it's not, right? Like if you decide, you know what, we're going to brush their teeth as much as possible, but I don't have it in me to do this fight right now. Seriously, I won't tell anyone. But that's an example of, okay, first decide outside of these moments, is toothbrushing a non-negotiable for me? If it is, great. Then that means that if your child is showing you that they can't listen, then you are going to step in as the boundary. Okay, I can see you're having a hard time brushing your teeth. I know sometimes I don't want to brush mine either, right? That's the connection, the validation. And brushing your teeth is something that we have to do. It's part of my job as your mom to make sure you brush your teeth. So I'm going to help you brush your teeth by taking the toothbrush and doing it for you, or you can hold the toothbrush, but we're going to brush your teeth now, right? You are taking it out of their hands. It's no longer up to them because you've decided that that's a non-negotiable, that you are then setting the boundary. It's not, if a child is showing you they can't listen, they can't listen. So we have to stop expecting that they're going to.
Thank you, Ellie. Another question. How can I help my 10-year-old girl who's dealing with typical fourth grade social stuff, but not wanting to be open because she doesn't want to worry me?
Oh, it's so heartbreaking and beautiful when a child starts to show that level of empathy and compassion for you. So, a few things here. We want to validate the child's experience always. And we also want to remind the child that it is not a child's job to worry about the parent. It's the opposite. And that you love that she cares about your feelings. And also, you are capable of taking care of your own feelings. And you want her to be able to share anything with you. And you promise that you can handle it. And then I would encourage you to stop there, no pressure on the sharing. And then in a less heightened environment, a car ride where there's not direct eye contact, when the child is doing something else, a little bit distracted, but still able to listen, bring it up again. See if that moves the needle. And if not, maybe one of the art-based exercises.
Perfect. A couple of parents struggling with young children and sleep. So one parent saying that she has two little kids, 3 and 1, who only sleep well with someone next to them, wondering if you have tips. And similarly, another parent saying their 3-year-old needs their back rubbed, head rubbed, etc. before night.
Mm-hmm. So, sleep is going to be a top area where kids show their feelings. And it is one of the most inconvenient parts of parenting because we want our kids to go to sleep at night because we're tired, and our kids don't want to be alone in the dark and without us, especially when there's stressful stuff going on in other areas. So, things that we can consider about sleep. First of all, kids need coping skills to be able to sleep on their own. So these coping skills aren't built at night. They're not built when the child is already nervous and scared. They are built through practice outside of the moment during the day when there's daylight, when there's less pressure, and when there is less anxiety. So actually one of the books we have is Sleep Feels Scary. It's incredibly helpful for kids because it goes through the bedtime routine. I customize all of these books if that is something that is of interest with a child's pictures and own detail and name. But the bottom line when it comes to sleep is that uh, kids are going to need you more at night and during sleep when things feel really stressful and scary. And there is the ability during the day and outside of the moment to set the routine and to practice it and to give concrete coping skills. I don't have time to go through all of those. I could do a whole presentation on sleep for you. But and then giving the child the opportunity to practice those skills is going to be what really helps. But if I encourage you to actually ask yourself, um, what is a problem? Um, is it a problem to you that you're rubbing the kid's back? If it is, that's fine. Um, or is it a problem because you feel like they should be able to do it on their own? Is it a problem that you're laying with them to go to sleep because you're tired and you need to sleep and it's disrupting your sleep? Sure. Or is it a problem because you feel like, I don't want to create a bad habit and like they shouldn't need that, and how can I help them figure out how to do it on their own? Understanding the why of wanting to change it will help you figure out do I actually need to change it right now? And the last thing I'll say on sleep is sleep issues get better when we double down on connection during the day, when we teach coping skills, and sometimes when we give more information. So sometimes kids don't like going to sleep alone because they're worrying. And so, can we help them express some of the worries? Can we air out some of that so that it's not happening so much at night when the mind is quiet and there's less distraction?
Thank you, Allie. That was really helpful. Another question is, I have a 22-month-old and a 4-year-old. It can often be hard to figure out why they're having big emotions, especially for the younger ones.
Mhm.
How would you approach this?
Yeah, it's sort of like being a detective. Um, so, 22 months and four, they're, I have, a 3.5-year-old and a baby, and I got to tell you, they're really tough little humans. Sometimes there is no rhyme or reason, and it's just about them navigating toddlerhood and asserting themselves and finding their voice and all of those other things that are hard enough on their own without any of the rest of it. And so that is where I would say boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Let go of what doesn't matter to you and increase connection time, one-on-one connection time.
Any advice for potty regressions? My 3-year-old seems to regress every time I have surgery, and it's extra hard
Mm,
for caregivers.
hmm. Okay. Um, as much preparation as humanly possible. Some of this is out of their control. It is how their body is responding to the stress. And I know that that is not an answer that is entirely helpful, but preparing the child for the surgery, right? As much age appropriate information as possible, and then actually naming. When I have surgery, it seems like it's really hard for you to remember to go potty. Right? Let's de-shame it. And then practice, 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 practice. Have the dolls practice going to the potty. Have the mommy go to the hospital and have surgery, and have the dolls be at home with whoever takes care of them, and have the doll that is the child pee all over the floor and pee in the pants and do all the things. Infuse humor and levity into this, playfulness, and let the child manipulate. Let the child work some of this out through play, and see what happens.
Fantastic. I know we're almost out of time here. I just want to do one more question. When would you suggest telling children about an upcoming surgery that will require the parent to stay at a hospital?
How old's the child?
Let's see, 10 and 6.
10 and 6? 3 days.
Got it. So not too far in advance, but enough to help them prepare.
Yep. If the child has something going on and they're asking you, hey, will you be at my school play? Will you be at my soccer game? Then we want to answer those questions honestly, but otherwise just a few days before.
Perfect. I want to do, but before you go, I do want you to be able to just give kind of an overview too
Mhm.
of any other support services you offer to parents that they might be interested in and how they can access those.
Yep. And if there's leftover questions, I'm going to share my email at the end. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer those by email, however I can be of support to you. Myself and my business partner Sarah, we offer hard stuff support calls. So basically, these are a 30 or 60-minute phone call where we talk through a very specific issue. How do I talk to my kids about my upcoming surgery? How do I talk to my kids about a relapse? How do I talk to my kids about, and anything like that? And it doesn't just have to apply to kids. It can be, how do I talk to my mom about this? How do I talk to my partner? Things like that. I do a ton of parent coaching. And as Chris mentioned in my bio, I spent a full year training with Dr. Becky's team. So I'm certified in her approach, something I'm really passionate about. And so I help parents think through difficult things going on in their households. And I offer big ideas, action items, and goals. And then New Jersey, New York, and Colorado residents, we do individual therapy for people of all ages. And then finally, our books, and that'll be linked on my website. We have eight social stories right now with the accompanying parent guides, and we also make completely custom stories based on individual experiences. And then I'll just in 30 seconds, I'll just do some closing thoughts. Kids notice when things change. Whether we talk about it or not, they need information to feel safe and secure. Sometimes the information feels scary to give, and it's actually what helps let kids just take a deep breath and say, oh, okay, I was right for noticing what was going on. Kids express big feelings through how they act. We have to look underneath the behavior for clues on what they're actually feeling. There's nothing wrong with you or your kids. You're going through something really, really awful, something that people should not go through. There's nothing wrong with any of you. You're all just doing the best you can. At times, you will be able to do more and give more, and other times, it may feel difficult, unnatural, or unrealistic. And offering yourself kindness for the times where you cannot give more is profound. And then finally, you are the expert on your kids. There's lots of experts out there, but nothing replaces a parent's intuition. You know your kids better than anyone, and you know you better than anyone. And so, can you allow yourself to trust that?
Thank you so much, Allie. I know that there is just a wealth of information here. I think you said you would be willing to share the PDF of your slides. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I did have someone ask. So just for everyone that's listening today, in the follow-up email, we will provide a link to the recording of this and also the PDF of the slides. I'll also make sure that you have Allie's email and the website so that you can access all of these really great resources that she shared. Thank you again so much, Allie. I know that I learned a lot. This is so helpful to parents everywhere, but especially parents who are also having to navigate cancer that have, like you said, so much on their plate. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, thank you all for spending an hour with me. And I wish we had more time. And I hope that that you feel good despite what you're managing, and that you're able to find those small moments to give yourself permission to feel whatever it is that you're feeling, and to lean into those other moments that feel good when you need them.
Thanks, Allie. All right, everyone. See you at the next one. Bye.